I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live. It's the Cryptid Podcast here, you guys. And I can't tell you how happy I am to see all you guys already in the chat. Oh, we had quite a few. I guess we're down to 3 people. Oh, well, hey, you know what? 3 is better than 0. We'll just get it going from here. I just want to say thank you guys for popping in. As you can see on the tape record, am I saying? The banner going below. You guys, thank you so much for the support. If you have had an encounter you'd like to come on the show, please email me, the cryptidpodcast72@gmail.com. Again, the cryptidpodcast72@gmail.com. Just to let you guys know, I'm going to start the show with my announcement. So I am going to be doing a giveaway. So for anybody who becomes a member or who is currently a member, membership is $2.99. I am going to let this start from tonight, May 10th, until June 10th. So for the next 30 days, anybody who joins the Cryptid Crew, which is the membership for the Cryptid Podcast, $2.99, I will be sending you one of these hats. Now, I know Josh did the same thing, and I was able to find some more of the hats. And if anybody would like to be part of the crew, there you go. Membership, $2.99, and it's going to run from May 10th till June 10th. So, I see Curtis in, Jake, yeah, go Timberwolves. I'll tell you right now, I am not a huge basketball fan anymore, not since Seattle Sonics were stolen by Oklahoma City. I'll always love the Seattle Supersonics. Hey, what's up there, Brianna? Michelle? Ray, what's up? Daryl, sir, Mr. Bo Ballard. Yeah. So you guys, tonight we're just gonna, we're gonna talk. We're gonna have a discussion. I'm gonna read some encounters. But the big question is on the thumbnail are the legends real? Are they real? Now, if we think about all of this, we think about, back in the 1800s, people have been having, sightings of a large hairy man. The name changed to Bigfoot, or again, the hairy man, the wild man, Sasquatch, known by many, many different names. Then you have Dogman, werewolves, the Jersey Devil, Mothman, all of these cryptids. The cryptid world is just packed full with all of these different beings or creatures that come out of myth and legend and folklore, out of someone's imagination. Think about it. Do I know if Bigfoot is real? Absolutely, 100%. I know that Bigfoot is real because I saw one. Do I think Dogman is real? Absolutely, positively. Did I see one? No, but too many people that I know have seen them. There are reports out there across the United States of Dogman. But if you think about all the cryptids, what are the big ones? Anybody in the chat, go ahead and list some big cryptids that people know about. Hey, what's up there, dog? Okay, we have Mothman. We have the Jersey Devil. We have, what else? What else do we have for cryptids out there, guys? Nessie or Nelly or Loch Ness Monster. There's so many of them out there. You guys, I'm going to cover some that are not really well known. I wanted to do a show on Momo, but to be honest with you, I looked, and my co-host Sabrina, who's in chat, she's not at home right now, so she couldn't be on the chat tonight as my co-host. But she looked for some stuff on Momo as well. So if anybody knows anything about Momo, definitely send it my way. cryptopodcast72@gmail.com. Yeah, you guys, moon-eyed people, pale crawlers, skinwalkers, the Kushtaka. Um, there's so many of 'em out there. But I have a Bigfoot. I would say it's a story, and what this is from Elkins Creek, which is near Carrollton, Georgia. All right, it's the west central part of the state. The sighting took place in a rural forested area with a history of activity and a backdrop for Southern Bigfoot legends. Hey, Katrina, what's up? Welcome, welcome here in North Dakota. If you have seen or heard of anybody having any encounters with anything in North Dakota, I would love to hear it. So, the primary event occurred in early September of 2000, though exact dates are very slightly depending on the source. We got OH, IO. We got a couple people from Ohio in the state or in the chat right now. The footprints, they say, are 18 inches. Originally was unfortunately broken during shipping in order for them to have it analyzed. The Elkins Creek cast was well known in the Bigfoot community. Now, you guys, I would love to show. I would love to show pictures, but I talked to Josh, and he's had some issues with copyright infringements, and that's the last thing I want to do. But if you guys like to, I'm close to Hugo, Jake. I'm close to Hugo. If anybody would like to look up any of some of the pictures that go in with these tales, look in Elkins Creek, Elkins Creek monster or sighting, and there's a whole bunch of different pictures and other things in there. So let's see here. So as it goes, a farmer who is now deceased who lived in Elkins Creek called the police to report a disturbance on his rural homestead. For about 2 weeks, something had been frequently coming to his property. Strange noises were heard, dog food was stolen, and eventually livestock and pet dogs went missing. Whatever it was would bang on the outside of this old man's trailer in the dead of night. When the sheriffs came out to investigate, no evidence of the culprit was ever found. Eventually, the man had his barn door ripped off the hinges when something was apparently tried to raid his corn crib. He called the authorities once again and reported the vandalism. A deputy named James P. Atkin was dispatched to look into the matter. When the deputy arrived, he suspected local moonshiners were trying to discourage the man from living on the property. So if anybody knows about moonshiners, one of their main things they use, one of the main ingredients is corn. The farmer told Deputy Atkins that he knew what was doing the damage and showed the officer 5 huge footprints along the bank of the Elkins Creek. Though all 5 prints were clear, 4 of them were totally submerged in the water of the creek. One, however, was in fine silt next to the water's edge and was in still excellent condition. Deputy Atkins cast the print, and that was one of the prints that was showing around. The cast had undergone intense scrutiny by many people, more qualified than most to assess the anatomical details. When the words Bigfoot and Georgia come together, the reference to the cast is often not far behind. It is not only the best piece of evidence to surface from Georgia, but remains one of the most interesting casts to date. According to Bigfoot group called West Central Georgia Bigfoot Investigations, the cast was obtained near Double Bridge Road. Elkins Creek is over 8 miles to the north of the road, but apparently in between these two locations are thick woods and not much else. It seems that the southern border of Pike County more or less follows the course of Elkins Creek, so it can be reasonably assumed that it was found somewhere along the stretch north of Spreewell Bluff State Park and a wildlife management area. So, oh, absolutely, black eyed kids. I don't want to see any of those. So this is think about this. This old farmer, is having this issue, and I mean, well, what happens now? Anybody who's ever been around a barn, if it's a pretty, sturdy barn, this thing tried to rip the barn door off. So I don't know many humans that could use that much force, that much strength, or leverage to rip a barn door off. So that is that encounter. Now, when that one ended, again, there's not really much more that I could find on that cryptid. Again, we can think that it is a Bigfoot, and I tend to believe that's what it is as well. Hey, Reptid, if you would like to shoot me an email, put that information there as well. I'd like to know about that. If anybody, are you talking about the Wampus cats? I've heard about that. I'm gonna look up that. You guys, I think when I do Saturday nights, I'm gonna try to do some, I'm trying to stay with obscure cryptids and throw in some Bigfoot and Dogman and stuff like that. So, that's kind of the way I want to go with these lives. And again, I'm willing to. Anybody wants to send me anything to talk about, I'll do my due diligence, look it up, and see what I can get for you guys. This next one is it's called Minerva. It's a small town in Stark County, Ohio. So my people who are from Ohio, am I saying that right? Minerva. Is it Myrna? I can't say it. But and this the events of this took place and centered around the Clayton family's property in August of 1978. Is it, I guess, in Paris Township. It was a really hot summer night in August of 78. Evelyn Caton was sitting in the kitchen table with family and friends. They heard a noise in her backyard on Lincoln Street Southeast, about 2 miles west of near Minerva. Okay, didn't realize Elkins Creek was around 2 hours from me. Okay, you're close. Yep, there you go. Amity, the Minerva. Am I saying it right? Okay, Minerva. Am I saying that right? Yes or no? I got 2 people that I know from Ohio. 3 people, actually. I got someone from Cincinnati here, too. But anyway, it wasn't the first time. The kids had heard strange noises before. They thought it was a hermit, maybe a crazed mountain man. It made the dogs go berserk. Then they saw something in the woods. 6 feet tall, thickly haired beast. The night of August 20th was different. The beast got closer than ever, peering into a kitchen window illuminated by an outside light, reeking of ammonia and rotten eggs. Minerva. Okay, got it. Cool. They said it weighed roughly 300 pounds. It was black and brown, matted hair, covered its head and body, making the face indistinguishable. Venturing outside, the family and their guests searched for it. They saw it in the headlights of a car. The man-like animal moved towards them. Everybody got scared and ran inside. A woman was so frightened that she started to cry. 26 years ago this month, the stunned group reported what they saw to Stark County Sheriff Deputy James Shannon. Some details eluded him, but Shannon remembers the night. The start of what he called the most bizarre investigation of his 30 years in law enforcement. They heard something in the window, kind of clawing or pawing, said Shannon, who retired in 1997 as a captain of the department. From what I remember, I don't think this creature or critter, whatever the hell it was trying to get in so much as saying, "Hey, I'm here, look at me." Shannon did not suspect a hoax, not a hint of it. The family saw something. He didn't know what, though he's not convinced it was Bigfoot. Then again, for all I knew, I could have been the first person to substantiate the existence of one. The sighting became a sensation. It made the front page of the repository 4 times. Deputies seek 6-foot beast trumpeted the headlines on the first story at the bottom of the corner of the front page. A few days later, the story was bannered across the top. Beast still, no, but noises, odor persists. Deputies will resume to stake out tonight in efforts to spot the 6-foot hairy beast that frightened a Lincoln Street Southeast family earlier in the week. The August 24th story began. Jim Hilbish gumshoed the story of the repository. It was those doldrums between the Hall of Fame festival and Labor Day, he said, laughing. It was a good story, and we kept it going. Overnight, the property became Bigfoot Outpost, attracting media from Akron, Cleveland, and even outside the country. Wire services spread the news nationally. Bigfoot investigators from Florida and California had hunters armed with high-power rifles descend upon the Lincoln Street Southeast address. A van drove onto the family's front yard at one time. A group of hunters hopped out, flanked by Doberman pinchers, trekking into the woods and an old strip mine behind the property. Bigfoot believers camped out in the woods. It got so bad that the family posted a fence of keep gawkers out. Evelyn was on the brink of a nervous breakdown. I think this hype lasted into the fall, Shannon said. In 1983, Herbert, Evelyn's husband, recounted the Bigfoot buzz. One day there was 100 to 150 cars in my driveway, on my lawn, and lining both sides of the street. Evelyn and Herbert are deceased now. The remaining family are publicly shy. Hal, a son, and Rebecca, a daughter, declined to be interviewed about the Bigfoot. The family took a lot of razzing. At a high school football game, locals mocked them, chanting, "Bigfoot, Bigfoot." A local eatery spoofed the sighting, advertising on a road sign, "Bigfoot ate here." Herbert took the skepticism in stride. They were doubters, he said. Those who yelled things from their car windows as they passed by, it was weird. The way I feel about it is if they don't want to believe, then they don't have to. Shannon said, I think most people thought it was just a joke, as a lark. But the family reports spurred claims of other sightings. Somebody claimed that they saw a Bigfoot running across Route 30 near their house, Shannon said. It was a fog-shrouded night, and all of a sudden, they saw this thing dart out in front of them. Another sighting was reported on Liberty Church Road Southeast. The woman... One second here, you guys. Excuse me. The woman reported hearing strange noises in the woods surrounding her house since sometime in June. It sounded like a cat fight or a woman shriek or something else. The woman said other neighbors heard the noises as well. Shannon took Bigfoot reports seriously, like any other investigation, a stolen car, a drug deal, or a barroom scuffle. On the night of August 20th, he spent an hour or two at their house, then returned when daylight broke. Shannon and 4 other deputies scoured the area, searching for 6 or 7 hours in Army surplus Jeeps and on horseback. A lot of people thought it was a bear. Somebody thought it was a deer, Shannon recalled. And I thought these people ought to be able to tell the difference. Canton, who worked the midnight shift at Diebold, wasn't home that night, but he said he had seen the creature twice before. It was shaped like a man and it walked like a man. When a bear moves away, it goes away on all 4s. This swung up over the edge of the strip mine on 2. Part of a skull was found in the pit behind their home, Shannon reported. It appeared to have been from a cow or a other large animal. Tufts of fur were found on the remains of a chicken coop where the family had spotted the Bigfoot sitting. The fur and skull were sent to Malone College for analysis. The skull also was taken to pathology laboratory at Altum Hospital, but the hospital refused to examine it. Nobody knows what happened to them. Susie Thomas, spokeswoman for Malone College, said that she fielded questions about samples before and has asked those who were on the campus then. Either their memory is failing them or they're just not admitting that they were involved in the hunt for Bigfoot, she said, laughing. Shannon interviewed residents of the home, friends, and even professional photographers in request of a snapshot of Bigfoot. The family never used the word Bigfoot. Mrs. Caton simply described the creature one or more than 6 feet tall with stubby legs and hairy indistinct features, that at one point turned to protect two smaller things that were standing beside it. It eventually walked away into the strip mine. Manley, age 27, and her sister, Vicky, age 25, were shaken. Scott Peterson, 18, a family friend, was also shaken up. Skeptical of past sightings, Patterson told Shannon he was now a believer. The sightings didn't end on August 20th. 2 days later, Mary Ackerman, another Caton daughter, said she saw the beast standing on the edge of the strip mine when she pulled into her parents' driveway. And 5 days after the initial report, John Nutter, a photographer from Cuyahoga Falls, said he saw a bear about 30 feet away in a wooded area near Liberty Church Road north or southeast. Nutter took a photo and retreated quickly. A deputy combed the area for 90 minutes and found what appeared to be bear tracks. But Nutter's color film produced a fuzzy image and he waffled on the bear story. I thought it over, and now I don't think it was a bear, he said. It made sounds unlike any bear I've ever heard. But the sightings continued, you guys. They continue to fascinate people. The last months, and researchers visited the Canton home and searched the woods behind their house. A report of Bigfoot persisted in Paris Township, a hotbed of sightings, though not with the same fervor of the 1978 sightings. David White, 58, and said he's heard mysterious sounds behind his Paris Township home, a few hundred yards from the Caton home, at the rear of the Skyland Hills Mobile Home Park. It's a blood-chilling sound, he said, a curdling sound. He paused, his eyes grew wide. It will scare the hell out of you. He said he heard the noises last summer echoing from the woods next to a small lake. David's wife, Connie, backed him up. You don't want to look and see what it was, she said. They said it sounded like the noises on a Bigfoot TV show. I've heard wildcats, panthers, you name it, said David, who grew up hunting with his father, and I've never heard a sound like this anywhere. Hunters have seen something in the woods, he added, vowing never to return. They said it sounds like a bear. It scared the animals off. The turkeys, the deer, the rabbits, all of the wild game in this area was gone. In the 80s, White said his teenage son was haunted by something in a remote area of Crow Street, southeast. It was months, maybe more than a year, before his son would camp in those woods again. He said he also saw one in Greentown area when he was a schoolboy. About an hour before sunset, White and his two friends rode bicycles back to the strip mine, pond off of Highland Park Street Northwest. Bigfoot was about 100 yards away, he said. The beast's upper body on the other side of the lake ominously poked over the brush line. This dog we had, a big collie, it wasn't scared of nothing. When it ran, we knew that it was time to go. White stretched his hands about 4 feet apart. Its shoulders were that wide. And this story continued to live on. A few years later, the legendary, I forgot how to say it again, Nirvana sighting was featured on Ripley's Believe It or Not television show. In 1996, the Wall Street Journal interviewed Deputy Shannon. We're a pretty urban county, so there's not too many places for Bigfoot to hide. He stated, when Bigfoot walks into one of our liquor stores and pulls a holdup, then I'll believe it. The Akron Beacon Journal's coverage included an artist rendering and a story forever linked reporter Barbara Galloway, now an Alliance High School teacher, to this monster. Of probably all the 3,000 stories I've done in my career, that's the one everybody remembers, she says. Galloway's name pops up on the internet, mingled with reports detailing the monster's case. People remember it for some insane reason, and they ask me about it quite a lot. I probably get a couple inquiries a year now. She recalls details of Caton's story, including a lion-like tan-colored animal on 4 legs that walked with it. She also recalls the family saying they didn't feel they were in imminent danger. It was just maybe curious. Galloway and photographer Ted Walls camped out on the family's porch. Ted was a grizzled veteran of news, and he was like, by gosh, if it's here, I'm going to take a picture of it. The creature never showed up, but Galloway does not discount the story. Some things couldn't be explained. She noted a tunnel 7 or 8 feet long was dug throughout the dense brush and thorny bushes, leading to a gully behind their home. It resembles a nesting or sleeping area, maybe Bigfoot's bed. Galloway grew up a farm girl, so she knows the works of bear when she sees it. Its markings, it marks its territory, claws trees, she said, leaving scattered bark and tree limbs. And a person basically would have to go in there with a chainsaw and carve out a perfect circle. And it wasn't like that at all. It didn't look human, and it didn't match the behavior patterns of a bear. So the family stuck to their story, and Shannon Galloway and Donald Keating, a Bigfoot investigator from Newcomerstown. Okay, I'm dumb. Newcomerstown. They very plainly, simply down to earth people, and you could tell something had happened that really frightened them. She said they were never any inconsistencies in their story. However, no matter how many times we went over it, Shannon drew the same conclusion. Some of the persons that were interviewed separately and at different times, they all described the identical beast. All hoped that they would never see it again. Keating, who found an annual Bigfoot conference in Newcomerstown and the Tri-State Bigfoot Study Group, said that this monster story stands out among the 100 or so that he's probed. Back in 85, when I spoke with the family, and again in 91, their reports were identically the same, word for word, as it was in 1978. If you had a list of the top 10 sightings in Ohio based on credibility or believability, this one could easily be in the top 3. Massive publicity overwhelmed the family, Gallo said. They were quite appalled when all of the reporters and the hunters did show up. They were kind of reluctant to even do the story, but on the other hand, they felt that they had to make it known it was make it known it was even happening and this unusual thing was still in the area. To this day, I don't think that I doubt that they saw something and underscore something. I just don't necessarily think that it was a Bigfoot. There's some additional reports. They heard noises in their backyard on Lincoln Street Southeast. It wasn't the first time. The kids again had heard it. Again, it just goes on about seeing uh, the other descriptions that the kids had seen back in the day as well. So, you guys, this is a really interesting um, story and encounter, and from 1978, and then again the reporter questioned them again in the 1980s, and then again in 1991. You guys think about it. This is a very well documented um, Sasquatch encounter. It's huge. I mean, I could sit here and keep reading and reading. You guys, this is the longest story that I have, but it just kind of keeps going over and over, reiterating that it still lives on, that it still is continuously going. And and if we go back and we look, you know, a lot of people when they go and they start talking about a story, and again, I'm not naming any names. I'm not naming any names at all because it's not my. Oh my gosh, look at Ray. Ray, and I saw Sabrina did it as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, you guys. Goodness gracious. Yeah, Sabrina, absolutely. Feral people do scare. I would rather run into a dog man and a Bigfoot and a Kushtaka and the Jersey Devil before I run into a feral person. I have no time for that. So again, I'm going to go ahead and jump over here. There are a lot more people on, 56 people watching. Thank you guys for joining this live. I'm truly humbled by everybody jumping in. And Ray, 10 gifted subs, Sabrina, a gifted sub. Thank you so much, you guys. I truly appreciate it. So I have a giveaway. I'm going to run it from May 10th until June 10th. Anybody who is a member currently, or anybody who decides to join the Cryptid Gang, your name will be put in a drawing for this hat. I know Josh gave away one. I found a couple of more, so this is going to be the only giveaway I'm doing, you guys. But I'm going to give away this hat. So join the Cryptid Crew $2.99. There's only one tier, so it's $2.99, and then on the June 11th is when I'll do the drawing, and I'll put a video up who the winner is. I'll post it on a couple of groups that I belong in. If you're not a member of the Cryptid Podcast Facebook group, go ahead and join that. All you got to do is go into groups, do a search, Cryptid Podcast. Make sure you guys answer the questions that are on there. And then one of my admin team will graciously get you guys in as a member. So truly appreciate that. Let's get that grown as well. And again, don't forget to hit that like button, share button. And again, like I said, May 10th to June 10th, any members, past, present, future, well, not past, but present and future members, $2.99 gets you the membership, and you'll get your name drawn in a drawing for this giveaway. Okay. All right. Is everybody having a good time? 1's yes, 2's no, 3 tell me I just need to give it up and stick to working where I work my 9 to 5. Anybody want to hear anything new? What's going on in life? I don't know. Smash the like button. Absolutely. So, this one story that I have, you guys, I really wish I could have put the pictures in with it, because these pictures that I have with this are absolutely amazing. I'm going to check to see if I can use these pictures. And if I can, I'll probably do a story strictly on this because you guys, the ending of the story is a pretty sad ending. It doesn't surprise me, and especially if I can check out and see if I can get those pictures if without getting dinged for them. You guys, some of these pictures are downright terrifying. So now let's talk about one of the older cryptids that I know about, and it's the Jersey Devil. Um, Now, I was stationed, I was in the Air Force, and part of my training was out at Fort Dix, New Jersey, which isn't far away from the Pine Barrens. And that's where this cryptid is pretty much from. It says that it wanders the Pine Barrens. Now, I will tell you that I did witness a couple of things when we were out in training in the Pine Barrens. I'm not saying that they were Sasquatch. I'm definitely not saying it was Jersey Devil, but um, I saw something that was huge, literally crossed like a 200-yard open area in seconds. In seconds. And then I was later pulled uh, along with a few other people, um, told me I needed to keep my mouth shut. And being a young airman, uh, 19 years old, just getting out on my own and getting ready to start a career. I wanted to stay. Heck, I'd be on 35 years right now if I could have stayed in the Air Force. But I was told that that if I opened my mouth about what I witnessed, that I would be court-martialed, given Article 15, whatever they wanted to give me, and pretty much ruin my life. And as a young 19-year-old kid away from home for the first time, I took that as a gospel and I kept my mouth shut. Another thing that I saw, and again, this we were doing a night maneuver. We were supposed to walk into um, a predetermined area where another group of recruits had set up an ambush, and our job was to walk, trip the ambush, and then how would we respond to it, and how would the people ambush and how would they respond to it. So as I was point, and if anybody doesn't know what point is, I was walking in the front of my group, my squad, and as I was walking, and we had an instructor with us, I saw something, and I, kind of put my hand up and clenched my fist like this, and then went down like this. So everybody moved off the side where we were walking, and then everybody got down. And my instructor comes up and he's like, "What's going on?" And I said, "I don't know, but I just saw something run across the path, like incredibly quick, and I heard nothing. I saw it, but I didn't hear anything." And he's like, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "It's probably one of the other recruits that are waiting for this ambush." I go, "Well, apparently, they're setting the ambush up way closer. So, y'all take care of Dan. Thanks for everything." Hey, Ray, thanks for coming in, man. I really appreciate it so much. Thank you so much. You know what, buddy? Have a good night. And again, everybody, give Ray some love. 10 gifted subs. I can't thank you enough, man. Thank you so much. Um, but yeah, so I see something and he's like, "How tall was it?" I said it was kind of hunched over, but it was running on two legs. And I'm not sure what I was looking at. And so being an army instructor, again, we had army instructors for our ground air base ground defense. It was like ground combat we had to go through. And he's like, "Keep pressing forward." And so we moved forward. I got to the area. I kind of looked around a little bit if I could see anything. I couldn't see anything. It wasn't super dark. Um, I definitely couldn't see anything. So we kept moving. And then I smelled something. And what I smelled was somebody had lit a cigarette. I smelled the cigarette. I again stopped. Instructor comes up and I go, "Do you smell that?" And he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we got." So what we did is we surrounded what the ambush was when we blew we popped an ambush on the guys who were waiting to ambush us. But that, that's a whole, military story. But anyway, you guys, again, thank you so much, you guys. Ray, outstanding. Thank you. 10 gifted subs. Sabrina, 1 gifted sub. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, you guys. We're going to get here into the Jersey Devil. So the origins in the folklore, mother leads and the 13th child. The most prevalent original story dates back to 1735, involves a woman known as Mother Leeds. According to the legend, upon discovering she was pregnant with her 13th child, she cursed it, exclaiming, "Let this one be the devil." The child was born normal, but soon transformed into a monstrous creature, sprouting wings, and flew into the pine barrens. Some versions suggest that Mother Leeds was a witch and that her child's father was indeed the devil himself. The Leeds family connection. Historian Brian Regal posts that the legend may have been a product of colonial era political and religious disputes. Daniel Leeds, a Quaker who published almanacs containing astrological symbols, was labeled as evil by fellow Quakers. His son, Titan Leeds, continued the almanac and became embroiled in a rivalry with Ben Franklin. Franklin referred to Titan as a ghost, further tarnishing the Leeds family reputation. Over time, the Leeds Devil evolved into the Jersey Devil. To this day, I doubt that they saw something. Okay, wait a minute. What is this? This is okay, you guys. This is something else. I'm sorry. There we go. See, I am completely. You guys, I feel bad right now because all my notes are completely trashed. Completely trashed. 1 second here. All right. I just had everything the way I needed it to be, and it's all messed up. Let's see if I can find it else here. Well, you guys, I'm missing some notes now. I don't understand it. Again, I apologize. Oh, here we go. Sorry, guys. Okay, we got it. So sightings, the 19th and early 20th century. So in 1820, Joseph Bonaparte, Napoleon's elder brother, claimed to have seen the Jersey Devil while hunting near Bordentown, New Jersey. The most significant wave of sightings occurred in January 1909. Over a week, hundreds of reports emerged from South Jersey and the Philadelphia area, describing encounters with a creature matching the Jersey Devil's description. You guys, check this out. Schools, I'm not making this up, schools closed and vigilante groups formed to hunt the creature. They closed the schools. Oh my goodness. Newspapers reported that the Philadelphia Zoo offered a $10,000 reward for its capture, leading to hoaxes, including a kangaroo fitted with wings. What year was that? That was in 1909. I'm going to tell you guys right now, up here in Minnesota, we could have 2 feet of snow. Legit, 2 feet of snow. They're not closing schools. If the wind chill gets below negative 20 degrees, that's when they start closing schools. So, and believe it or not, that happens quite frequently. In the mid to late 20th century, so in 1960, John Irwin reported encountering a creature with bat-like wings and glowing red eyes while driving near the Pine Barrens. Hey, Renee, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. In 1970, a Long Beach fisherman claimed to have seen the Jersey Devil serenading a mermaid. Mermaid. 21st century. In 2007, hikers in the Pine Barrens reported seeing a flying creature with a 6-foot wingspan emitting eerie screeches. One managed to capture a brief, grainy video footage. Okay. In 2015, Dave Black of Little Egg Harbor claimed to have photographed the Jersey Devil flying over a golf course. Skeptics suggest the image resembles a taxidermied goat with wings, but Mr. Black insisted it was real. Now, you guys, I try to find a lot more things on Jersey Devil, and now I'm going to try to see if I can find somebody that might be stationed or was stationed at Fort Dix, New Jersey, or McGuire Air Force Base, because they're literally right across the street from each other, to see if I can find some more information, see if anybody's had any sightings. I think I have 2 people that I can get in contact with that were trainers, Army trainers, instructors and things like that, that were at Fort Dix when I was there. So, but yeah, you guys, the next one we're talking about is I found it kind of interesting. A few people have talked about it, and I didn't really get into much about it until I saw the picture. And again, I wish I could put these pictures up here, you guys. Again, I don't want to get dinged for a copyright violation, but this one reminds me of Snoopy in a way. And went to both camp and Dick's. Went to both camp at Dick's. Tony, what does that mean? Went to both camp and okay. You guys, we're talking about the Dover Demon now. If anybody can look up, do a Google search for images and look up the Dover Demon. Now, I'm not saying he looks exactly like Snoopy, but just kind of a way. It doesn't look, the head kind of, as they describe it, kind of looks like Snoopy on some of them. But then a couple other pictures I've seen. Have you guys seen Independence Day, that Will Smith movie? And the alien, the way the head is kind of shaped. I think on the alien that's inside the other alien. It kind of reminded me of that as well. See, Steamboat, I never really heard about the Dover Demon either. So this is kind of this is new for some. So if anybody has not heard of the Dover Demon, put a 1 in the chat. Pre-slap Will Smith. Yeah, way pre-slap Will Smith. So the Dover Demon is a small humanoid reported from Dover, Massachusetts. It was the subject of an intense scare during the 1970s when multiple witnesses came forward with their sighting. The Dover Demon is described as looking sort of like the gray variety of an alien, except that it has rosy tan colored skin instead. The Dover Demon has a large head on a small stick-like body. It can be bipedal, but is often travels on all fours or switches back and forth between the 2 modes of locomotion. It has eyes that glow, usually orange or sometimes green. It does not seem to wear any clothing, and unlike the Greys, the Dover Demon does not seem to be associated with any UFOs. It just wanders around on its own. Cryptozoologists seldom show interest in the Dover Demon. Mainstream cryptozoologists are rarely willing to seriously investigate humanoids other than hairy hominid or humanoids. It seems that sightings only happen during short periods of time, with have most claim the sightings have now ceased. So the Dover demon does not seem to be a pressing matter. The bizarre tale begins at 10:32 p.m. on April 21st, as three 17-year-olds, Bill Bartlett, Mike Massacoa, and Andy Brody, were driving on Farm Street. Barrett, who was behind the wheel of a Volkswagen, spotted something creeping along a low wall of loose stones on the left side of the road. At first, he thinks the creature is a dog or a cat until its headlights shine on it and he realizes it's something he has never seen before. The figure slowly turns its head and stares into the headlights. Its two large, round, glassy, lidless eyes shining bright like two orange marbles. Its watermelon-shaped head rests at the top of a thin neck. Uh, it's the size. Its thin neck is the size of the rest of the body, except for its oversized head. The creature is thin, with long, spindly arms and legs, and huge hands and feet. The skin is hairless, peach in color, and appears to have a rough texture, like wet sandpaper, he said. Cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman, he tells cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman that it stood no more than 3.5 to 4 feet tall. The figure is shaped like a baby's body with long arms and legs. It had been making its way along the wall, its long fingers curled around the rocks when the car lights surprised it. Unfortunately, neither of Barrett's companions saw the creature. The sighting lasted only a few seconds before Bartlett could speak. The car could speak as the car leaves the scene. Then the creature is gone. Bartlett drops his friends off and goes to his Waterpole Street home. He's visibly upset. He walks through the door and his father asks him what's wrong. He relates his story and later sketches what he has seen. Around midnight, a 15-year-old John Baxter leaves his girlfriend Kathy's house at the south end of Miller High Road. Baxter starts walking up the street on his way home half an hour later, and after he's walked about a mile, he observes something approach him. Because the figure is short, he assumes it's an acquaintance of his, a friend of his who lives on this street. He calls out, but no response. And then the figure continues to approach. They continue to approach each other until he finally stops. When Baxter halts, he asks, "Who are you?" The sky is dark and overcast, and he can only see a shadowy form. Trying to get a better look, he takes one step forward, and the figure scurries off to the left, running down a shallow wooded gully and then up the opposite bank. As the figure runs, Baxter hears its footsteps on the dry leaves. He follows the figure down the slope, then stops and looks across the gully. There, he sees the creature, standing in silhouette about 30 feet away, molded around the top of a rock several feet from the tree. The creature's body reminded Baxter of a monkey's, except its dark figure eight shaped. What? Except for a dark figure eight shaped. Okay, head. Its eyes, like two lighters, spotted in the middle of its head. They're looking straight at him. He knew after a few minutes something was not right. He started to feel uneasy, realizing he had never seen such a creature before, and fearing what it might do next, he backed carefully up the slope, his heart pounding. He then walks very fast down the road to the intersection of Farm Street. There, a couple passing in a car picked him up and drove him home. Skeptics usually claim that the Dover demon was simply a lost baby moose glimpsed under unusual conditions that made it seem like a bizarre humanoid that sometimes went on all four legs. People who don't believe that explanation point out that all the sightings happened during the wrong time of the year for moose that small to exist. And they also pointed out that Massachusetts is far from normal moose habitat. Even if an orphan moose had been wandering around so close to a populated area, it seemed that it would have been easily captured. If the power of a baby moose explanation appealed to you, then you could get around the worst objection by substituting a creature that does not exist in the area and can be born at any time of the year, a baby calf. An orange furred orphan calf that would be more likely candidate for such a proposal than a baby moose. Other suggestions explanations included a monkey, a dog, an alien, a malnourished, or even, a mutation, or simply a hoax. Another explanation could be that it's an escaped and illegally owned pet gibbon. Some species of gibbons have orange babies. White cheeked gibbons have an orange color in their females. So, you guys, I don't understand. We've all heard these stories, okay? And not just with these, okay? We've all heard these stories, you know, um oh, hey Jake, thank you so much. If anybody doesn't know yet, I have an episode up with Ron Moorhead. Great guy, very very nice guy, very humble guy, and a wealth, just a huge wealth of knowledge. So if you'd like to check that out, head on over to the page or to the channel and check out that episode. But you guys think about this. I was told when I had my sighting that I saw a bear. And it wasn't my dad that told me this because my dad saw it with me. You know, my dad didn't divulge to me that he had an encounter with a Kushtaka and what he believes was a werewolf until I was 15 years old. And my dad had that encounter back when he was in his late teens. Hey, Angel. So think about how long he held on to that story, you know? And again, anybody that's had an encounter, you've tried to share it with somebody, how many of you have been told, "Oh, you saw a bear," or "You saw something else," or if you've heard something, "Oh, I heard this," or "I heard that," and especially I think it's funny when someone who doesn't really believe, if you've had an encounter, and whether you've heard it or not, like me, I grew up around hunters. I grew up hunting. I've heard cougars make absolutely incredible noises. I'm like, what is that? What was that? And then I later find out that it was a cougar. And I'm like, there's no way. Or a fox or a bobcat. Felines, lions, all these animals, they are able to make a lot of different noises. And if you haven't listened to them, you know, do yourself a favor. Go onto YouTube and just type in what sounds or what does a cougar sound like? What kind of sounds comes out of this? And I'm telling you, you guys will be surprised at some of the sounds that come out of these animals. But I know what I've heard was not a bear, was not a wolf, was not a wild cat of some kind. I know what it was. And I just want people to know that when you come onto the show or you come into these lives, these are safe spots for people. I mean, these are safe spaces for you guys. And anytime if you guys want to shoot me an email and just talk, as hey man, I had this thing that's going on, and I'm just not sure. Can I talk to you? Can you help me understand what's going on? Shoot me an email, the cryptidpodcast72 at gmail.com. Because I'm so far away from being an expert on any subject like this. You guys, I'm not, but I've heard so many stories that could possibly help you guys look at it in a different light and maybe try to figure it out yourself, because I'm not going to tell you, if you reached out to me and said, "Hey, I think I saw this, or I think I heard this," I'm not going to tell you that you didn't, because I wasn't with you when it happened. Angel, if you told me you saw a dog man sitting in the back of a truck, you know, I'm not going to tell you didn't see it, because I wasn't there with you. I've heard so many stories that are so outlandish. You know, part of me doesn't believe them, but there's always that probability that they do, that it is true. Because when you're dealing with cryptids, and you have someone telling you stories, I mean, there's nothing in the world that surprises or shocks me. Jake, honest to gosh, being in the military like I was, you guys, I've been around this world. I've been all over the United States, and you're right. I have seen so many things, paranormal stuff, everyday stuff. And sometimes I'll stop and I'll kind of scratch my head and I go, didn't think I was going to see something like that, or didn't think I was going to hear something like that. We all have those moments, you know, and I just want to let people know, hey, this is a safe spot for me, or for you guys. A safe spot for another safe spot for you guys is my buddy's podcast, Mysteries Unknown. So that's, you know, Josh looks at this stuff as kind of a spiritual look, a biblical aspect on it. Me, I'm more of a flesh and blood. Um, oh yeah, Daryl, do you mind if I play some of your vocals, or do you mind if I share a couple of your pictures? Oh, by the way, I just watched a video with you, Daryl. You were with somebody and you were casting some footprints. I don't know how old that video was, but yeah, there was some really cool stuff that you had up there. So Daryl, if you can hear me, if you haven't left, can I well, you guys, I'm going. I know he gave them to me so I can play him. So I don't believe anything here. I only have what I see. Absolutely. Okay, Daryl, I'm going to show some pictures. You guys, so if you guys are not familiar with Daryl Adams, if you've ever heard of Owl Moon Lab, that's Daryl Adams. Now, Daryl, literally from the time that he bought this property, stuff started kicking off. Like crazy stuff. I still have stuff on my phone that he sent me that I'm still trying to figure out how to get on here so I can share them with other people. But there is I'm gonna okay, you guys, I'm gonna play him right now. So let me show you guys a couple of pictures that Daryl sent me. And so this one here, this is a mirror that was set up next to some um, peanut butter, and he coated the mirror with something. And look at the handprint there, or the fingerprints. Like, look at how massive those fingers are. That's one thing that he found. Here's a print that he found, and that's his boot right next to it. Now, if anybody's been around in the woods, if you look at what that litter is on the ground, that's pine needles and leaves. You got to be heavy to make an impression like that. Now, this is what I think is really, really cool. So if you look within that circle, excuse me, if you look at the tree, that's the area of the circle, if you look just to the left of the tree, you see something. And you're wondering, I wonder what that is. Well, this is what it is. If you look closely, you'll see where you see the double trees within that circle. Look right to the right of the right tree. And you see like its right buttocks, part of its right thigh, the right side of its body, and it's walking up a hill. And Daryl said it walked up that hill like it was nothing. And then I'm going to play some audio for you guys. And this is from Daryl's. So let's see here. I got so much audio on here. Okay, so this is one. This is fascinating. All right. And then here's another one. Let me get that picture off of there. Here's another one. And this one is looped, so you'll hear it's a short one, but then you'll hear it again. And then here's another one. Okay, guys, now seriously here. Think about this. Now, the second one that I played, I've heard that howl before. Not like personally, I've heard it on a recording, like some other show or whatever. And I didn't know that that was Daryl's audio. Now, if you guys again have not heard of Owl Moon Labs, there's a couple books I think written about it, if I'm not mistaken. Daryl, has there been a documentary about Owl Moon Labs? But you guys, this started kicking off literally. This is the video that I saw is when you guys got that knee impression where it was like you guys, whoever you were with, I think it was Tobe, that you guys have you found impressions, and it looks like it was kneeling down and it has knee impressions, and they actually pulled hair from before they casted it. They pulled hair samples. There were a lot of hair samples. You could see them, and they casted them. And as soon as, oh heck, I don't know, Daryl, you want to come on right now and tell that story? Do you want to? Because I can send you a link so you can jump on right now. Daryl, do you want me to send you a link so you can jump on? Because I'd love to have you on. Oh, we got one person, two people that say, "Come on, Daryl." Anybody want to see Daryl jump on? Give me a big one. Oh, there's two. Or three, I mean. Oh, Jake says yes. Wynn says yes. Angel, Tony, Kim, Joanne and her three. Oh, okay, hold on. I'm not gonna be able to see what you guys do, and I gotta jump over here real quick and do this. Let's see here. Na 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 na. 1 second here. Do this. And do this. And copy this. Talks amongst yourselves. Okay. All right, Daryl, I just sent the link. Steve, Joanne, Sabrina. Yeah, this is great. I love it. AV. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining us. 61. Again, thank you so much. And it's gonna be great having Daryl on. So as soon as he jumps on, I'll bring him right on in. And yeah, you guys, Owl Moon Labs, you guys, I was going to give you a little sneak peek or whatever. He had an encounter. I guess one of his motion lights had turned on, and he, I guess, was like looking outside or where it caught his attention. And he's looking and he can't see anything, but then he kind of looks down, and he's like up on the second floor of his house, and he looks down and he sees something standing right next to his house. Here's the man. Daryl, what's up, buddy?
Hey. Oh, not much, man. Just
Man,
been mowing lawn all day.
man, thank you so much for coming on. You guys, I'm telling you right now, Daryl is one of the nicest guys I've ever encountered through here, and I'm sure when I get the chance to meet him in person, it'll be just as great. But you guys, I've only scratched just a little bit of the surface of Owl Moon Labs. And I don't know if you heard me. Did you hear me talking about the video? I think it was with you and Tobe, and you had casted the knee impressions. And
Yeah.
what happened when you guys casted those knee impressions? Because one, you didn't only cast the impressions, but you pulled hair samples.
Yeah.
From there.
At first, we saw the impressions, and we went back. It was about, I don't know, 15 miles away from anywhere. So we went back to my property, and Tobe took off to get some hydrocal in town. And by the time we got back to the area, it was already dark. But I brought a couple really good lights, and then when we shine the light down in the impressions, you can see the hairs. You know, when the thing pulled back out, its knees back out in the red clay there on the embankment, it left hair. So, you know, we did the thing where we got an envelope, some alcohol, tweezers, the gloves. We did everything right, and we probably pulled 10, 15 hairs out of those impressions before we actually before we cast them. And then, yeah, once we cast them, and then when we pulled the cast out a couple hours later and took it back to my shop, we waited about, I don't know, a week and a half or so before that. We wanted to wait till that clay had set up enough to, you know, just kind of pull it off the casting so we didn't mess anything up. So once that clay set up, it kind of came off as it looked like a coconut cracked in half, kind of the clay did that was on the casting. And in that mud, that clay, were a bunch of hairs also that we missed. So we got quite a few hairs. And then we sent the samples to a gal up in Canada named Cindy Dosen. She's a member of the Olympic Project out west, Washington State. And she has a lab up there called the Enigma Project Lab. It's an actual lab where she does testing for people, all kinds of stuff. And we sent her the hair, didn't tell her anything about it. Tobe sent it to her. Didn't say what it was, where it came from, or anything. It was just pretty much, she knew nothing about it. And we were actually doing a podcast at the time. And when he called her and got her live on the screen, and she said that these hairs are unknown, human-like, no medulla, of course. And there's only 7 known hairs in the database in the US or in the world of this type hair. And it was from a lower extremity of an animal. And we told this lady exactly nothing. And she came back with all that. And everybody in the crowd was going, "Oh my God, how did she know any of that?" But yeah, it was pretty amazing.
And so after you had that cast, where did you place it?
Well, at first I was building a brand new shop, and it was just about done when we cast that. And then by the time that clay on those on there. It's set up real good. The shop was done. At first, we placed it in a big 2-car garage that I had on the side, and then we moved it into that shop a couple weeks later.
And then what happened?
And then a week or so after that, just all kinds of weird stuff started happening around the property. Banging, all the recordings like you played. I got so many more. I got 1,200 hours of that I recorded there of so much Bigfoot, vocals, so many vocals. So I was doing a habituation there for 7 years. And after I retired, I didn't have anything to do. So I just kind of threw myself into it almost daily, just going out in the woods and looking for Bigfoot sign. And I got so much stuff but it did, it's not, I went plenty of times and didn't get anything. It took a long time to get all that evidence. And I don't know. I think at first, I was all gung ho and I got all this stuff. And then it was kind of, then what do you do? What do you do with it? I mean, people can't just come out of their pocket with 10 grand to have, DNA done on hair and all that. And then, it'll just come back as an unknown thing like it does. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When something like that happens, you're kind of like, you found something incredible, but what do you do with it? Because you don't want to spend that kind of money and then just go, hey, this is what it is.
Yeah. It's just going to come back as unknown. Maybe one side of the human, the gene, the X, and the other side unknown, the Y, whatever. And there's been plenty of people that have done it, and it just, I don't know. But man, at first you're getting all this evidence, and you're all gung ho about it, and then you just kind of after a few years. And it got so common for me, I like people ask me about tracks and stuff. I can tell you what a real Bigfoot track looks like because I saw so many of them. I see so many tracks that aren't real. A lot here. I live in Oklahoma now. I see so many here that are not real.
Yeah.
I can pretty much tell right off the bat. I've seen, when I lived out in Oregon, I knew everybody in the Bigfoot world. I hung out with Ron Moorhead, with Bob Gimlin, everybody out there that's, the people that are into it. And I was always out in the woods. And then I lived right there where, right in my backyard, backed up to all that government property. I was right in the middle of the epicenter of the Bigfoot stuff.
Oh man, I'm telling you,
it was just crazy.
Will you tell everyone watching, will you please tell them that story about the Sasquatch that was standing looking in a lower bedroom window?
Okay.
Guys, I find that just so crazy. And I love the story.
Yeah, well, the farmhouse that we had there was a few acres, and it, like I said, it backed up to the basic mountains. The Cascades of Oregon were on one side of the valley. It was in a valley, and on the other side of the mountain was the coastal range. The mountains that go on to the coast there in Oregon. But we had this big farmhouse, and we had the new shop built beside it, and we had the big separated 2-car garage on the other side. I mean, this was like a 4,000 or 5,000 square foot house. It was just me and my wife. It was 5 bedroom, 2 bath, and the main bedroom was upstairs. And then upstairs was like the big main bedroom on one side of the house. It took up the whole side at the top of the house. And on the other side was two other bedrooms. And in between was just like an open hallway that went down. The stairs went down to the lower part of the house. So one night, my wife, and there was a chain link fence around the house where the shop was. And there was motion sensor lights up on the 2-story house. And the house was kind of built on a little bit of a slope. So there was a concrete foundation around the bottom of the house that they built onto. So in the back of the house of the foundation, it was probably about a foot. And then as it came down the hill to the front of the house, the foundation, kind of the concrete foundation, got 3 foot, by the time it got down to that point. But anyways, one night my wife came back from going to the bathroom, and this was right after we had the shop built, which I always kept locked up anyway. And she goes, "Hey, there's the lights on that side of the house." And it was kind of in the summery time. So what we would do in those 2 bedrooms across the hallway there, we would open the windows on them. We would open the doors and open our door and our window, and then the air would kind of flow through there. Oregon stays pretty cool, especially in the woods like that. But then we'd get a nice breeze blowing over us and, keep it about 60 degrees in there. But that night she had gotten up, that motion light was on. We just built that shop. So she's thinking, wow, maybe somebody's prowling around. I mean, we're out in the middle of nowhere. So I get up and I start to walk over there. And just about the time I got in that hallway between those other 2 bedrooms, that motion sensor light went out. But it was a fairly full moon that night. So I walk up, and we're up on the top floor, the second story of the house. So we're up 20 feet up, maybe a little bit more. And I walk up there, and the window's open, and I'm looking in the backyard, to see what set that motion sensor light off. The big shop's right there. The chain link fence is a nice, fenced in backyard, 1/4 of an acre or less. And around the outside of the house was about a 5-foot sidewalk. So I'm looking around in the backyard trying to see, I could see like a barely part of the front of the shop. I'm looking down, and I could see pretty good after a minute, after I, got acclimated to the dark there. And I see something real dark against the side of the house. Once I look down, and I'm like, what the heck? We'd never seen a bear around there. There was no stray dogs, cats, or raccoons or anything around right there. And it's a chain link fence. So whatever got in there had to go over a 4-foot fence, chain link. So I'm looking, and I see this big black dark spot against the house. And on the lower part of the house there was another 2 bedrooms. And like I said, because the house is on a foundation, that bedroom that was right below where I was looking down at, the windows were up about, the bottom of the window was probably 4 foot, and, another 3-foot window. So you're 7 or 8 feet to the top of that window from the ground level. So I'm looking down at this dark thing, and it's right there looking. I couldn't tell what it was doing. It was just right up against the house. And I'm looking at it for a minute, and I'm like, what the heck? It wasn't moving at all. I couldn't hear anything. The window was open. I was looking down at it. So after a minute, I just went like that and did a little whistle. And when I did this thing, like when a horse gets up and cleans the dirt out of them, if you've ever been around horses, they'll go, that real shudder, that strong, powerful shake they do. That's what this thing sounded like. And boom, man, it took off. And it made probably 100 feet in 2 seconds. And when it hit the top of that chain link fence, it goes chink. I heard it hit the fence. And then I heard the real heavy, footprints running through the woods that were behind that fence. And that thing was gone within like 5 seconds. I just saw a big black blur go across our yard.
You guys.
So, yeah, it was wild.
Daryl,
it went so fast it didn't set off that light. that motion light didn't come back on that time. But I think because it was prowling around against the edge of the house there, it had set it off when my wife saw the light on.
I know you have probably thousands of stories,
Oh, God.
and I don't know, a few that I've probably heard maybe 10 or 15 of your stories. Not only from you, but from other podcasting. That is probably one of my favorite stories. You sent me some other pictures, and I downloaded them, and will you kind of describe this photo for us? Like, what were you doing?
I was, I hunt. I've hunted my whole life. I hunted since I was a kid. And like you said, I've heard every animal. I've heard the cats, the big cats, the cougars, all the sounds they make. Even a bobcat can make a sound like a dang lion. I mean, you're out in the middle of the woods and it's quiet. Foxes, rabbits whistle like a person. I've seen a jackrabbit stand there and whistle just like me or you. So I know all the animal sounds, but on those footprints, there was an elk wallow, they call it, up above our property, up in the woods up there. And so I'd go elk hunting and I'd drive through that area to see if there was any elk in there. Because it was like there was a spring off to the side of it, and there was a mud hole there that the elk like to get in the warmer parts of the year and stuff and wallow around in there. They'll root around like a pig, in the mud. And so that was an area that I visited while I was hunting a lot. I would go drive through there. So this day I drove through there and I saw something, and I was going to get out and see if it was elk tracks, and it was these tracks. And there was about 10 of them. And this one was probably the best one. And the other ones were kind of off, they were kind of to the side, and off to the edge was grass all around this mud hole. So they kind of went off out of there. They walked, that was kind of right on the edge of the elk wallow. And they walked right on the edge. Whatever it was, walked right on the edge and then walked away. And it looks to me like, and it really looked like it has fur around the heel. When it pulled out, the fur or hair around the heel came up with it. And, it's broken. Like, I don't know how a human could do that with their foot. It's like a monkey does, when a monkey closes their hand or foot, they can hang on with their feet in trees and stuff. And it's almost not even touching there in the very center there where the break part is. It almost didn't even touch. And there was a few more pictures that I had, but remember I told you that my phone got scrubbed or whatever, and Tobe Johnson's did too. Exact same time, both our phones did. And we were hearing weird sounds on our phones, clicks and pops and, stuff. So we were thinking, once we found those knee impressions and the word got out a little bit in the community, and then I started seeing those, a couple of those SUVs in my front of my property. So anyway, my phone basically lost everything on it. I took it to Verizon. The gal that was the manager looked at it, and she's like, "We've never seen anything like this. It's like your phone got hit by lightning or something and just zapped it." But then when I got my new phone, I had a phone before that phone that I had a bunch of stuff on. So they got some stuff off that, my old pictures of like my grandkids and, family photos. So all of a sudden that picture and a few other ones appeared in my old timeline. I don't even know how. I had a lot of weird electronic things happen to me too. I think I've sent you that video of my phone. We were out in the woods, me and Tobe Johnson and another guy, about midnight or later, and my phone records a video of it on its own in my locked pickup. And out in the middle of the woods where we didn't even have phone service.
It says EDP in the shop at Al Moon. I call the Midnight Preacher. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, that's a different one. But I was messing around the other day with all my recordings, and I found a couple more EVPs in that shop. So it's just high strangeness,
Oh man, I'm telling you.
I was I said, when I did the first I did the 2 Flash of Beauties. Have you seen those? And then we did one before that. It's the Bigfoot Alien Connection Unknown or something. It's a
Yeah.
really good one. But I say right there, that was when I first, things were starting to happen. I'm like, I was normal when I got here to this place, and then all the strangeness just blew up.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, honestly, what is it, Daniel? Your mic is at a lower volume than Daryl's. Turn my mic up. All right, is that better? Am I loud? I had it down here. So how's this? Do you want me to get in it and do it? All right. So anyway, so how long was that track? How long was that?
Now, most of those tracks we found, I probably saw 100 tracks up there, and we cast about 25 maybe.
Yeah.
But that hydrocal stuff, it was about $50 a bag.
Oh,
It was expensive. So you cast 3 tracks, there you go. There's $50. So
yeah.
we just got kind of tired of it. But those tracks there weren't that big. They were probably only about a size 12 on a person.
Oh, okay. Now he sent me some other ones. Now, you guys, I've seen a few videos on how people can they'll say you see a break, you see an odd break, and what a lot of people don't understand is that, especially up in the areas where heavy snow falls, over time, a tree will slowly bend and bend and bend and bend just due to the sheer weight of the snow that accumulates on it, and it'll break. But I've never seen snow accumulate and do this to a tree. Tell me where you found that track or that break.
Well, like I said, that my property, the Owl Moon Lab that Tobe Johnson named it,
Mhm.
the hills going towards the west on the other side of the valley, the Coast Range, where we found the knee impressions. I found that up there. We'd found a bunch of those markers like X's, I guess. I was a newbie to all that stuff. I didn't know what any of that was. So I had to ask people like, Ron Moorhead and people that had been in there doing that forever. What is this? Oh, that's an X. Oh, that's a glyph. I'm like, whatever, I was a total non-believer in any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then, I kind of got educated on all of it over the years. But this I found while I was hunting, me and my grandson, and we found a bunch of other things too. I'll have to send you some pictures of it in that same area. And it was up there by where we got those knee impressions, where all the X's are.
That's crazy.
There's like a whole hillside up there back in the middle of nowhere that has a bunch of weird tree things. And there's a group of guys out of Bend, Oregon. A guy named Randy Sylvie runs it. It's the Bigfoot Bend organization, or Bend Bigfoot. But they were up there. I was showing them all that stuff. And him and another guy hiked down the hill onto the other side, and they found this cool tree structure thing. It's some big trees, and it's really cool. They found that up there also. But there's just those things there, those twists. There's X's, a lot of X's, and the X's, most of them are broken off trees that they jam in the ground as an X. It's not like they just fell over that way, or like you said, I saw. Once you're around that stuff for a long time, you lived in Washington and Oregon, like you said, the tree, the snow load over the winter. The difference between a snow load bent over tree than something that was just snapped off or, twisted like that thing, like somebody wringing out a washcloth or whatever. And we saw, so you kind of really quickly become a debunker. We did. We debunked stuff to the 10th power. I did, especially because I didn't want to believe it. I'm like, no, man, that's crazy. What on earth has that kind of strength to grab a little? And I found the stump to where that tree was torn out of. And it's not anywhere that any type of equipment could get to. Anything that, I don't even know anything. Loggers don't use anything that spins. I mean, there's no, and it was, in a grove of a lot bigger trees. So it's not like a tornado came down and just singled out that little tree. And
Yeah.
ripped it off, and the stump was still there in the ground. I should have took a picture of the little stump. Next time I'm out in Oregon, maybe I'll go up there and do that. There was
Oh.
there was some twist stuff on the lower section too. You know where that was torn off of?
That's
So-
again, I don't have any words or any explanation. I can't even try to make that sound like, oh, that's a natural occurrence, because it's not. You just don't see that. Um, and you guys, this somebody asked if that was a bear. I hope I never see it. Exactly. If that were, well, again, forest rangers will tell you, oh, that was a bear. No, that's not a bear.
No.
That's something that has immense strength. Just like you see the trees that are literally pulled out of the ground and then turned up and then slammed back down into the ground.
I
And
saw a few of those too.
did
Like
you really?
replanted upside down. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm telling
And
you.
I tried to think, maybe the tops of the trees that are a couple 100 foot high broke off and then fell down and stuck in the ground, but it was totally not the top of the tree.
Yeah, it was a root ball that was sticking up.
Yeah,
That's bananas.
it's the other
Now-
part of the tree.
Now, I know I've gone out in the woods and, as a kid and as a younger adult and stuff, especially when you're going out on maneuvers in the military and stuff, you find things, you find odd things. Like I remember, when I was a kid and we'd get on Fort Lewis. I'm not telling you how we do it, but, I'd find like complete, 100 round belts of M60 machine gun blanks. I'd find so many things. But I've never found anything like this. You guys, I'm going to show you this picture that Daryl sent me. And then, Daryl, if you will, please tell us the backstory to this picture. If you guys have ever come across something like this in the woods, I need to know about it.
Okay. The story on that old thermos was up above that, in that same area where that twisted off tree is, and we got the knee impressions. There's there's like an embankment where on this side it's a little higher up, and there's a hedgerow of blackberry vines, just super thick blackberry vines, a thicket of blackberry vines, and down on the lower section there, it looks like it could have been an old logging road, an old skid road. And on the lower part, there's a shorter hedgerow of blackberry vines. So what I would do is I like to get the blackberries and I would put them on a cookie sheet and freeze them and then, vacuum seal them and save them because my wife makes blackberry cobbler. So what I would do is I would go up in there and check. And I would be scouting out for deer hunting and stuff and squatching, but I would go into that area there, and because there was all those blackberry bushes, and to see if they were ready, if they were ripe yet. So that's what I was doing that day. It was probably middle to late September, and I had my little dog with me, Izzy. I have a little toy Australian Shepherd, and so we got out of my truck. We walked. It was about a quarter of a mile walk up into there, and we walked up into there, and I was looking at the blackberries, and there were a few of them that were ripe and ready, but not enough yet to, get after with my 5-gallon buckets. So in between those two hedgerows of blackberries is probably a 10-foot space, because they're real overgrown.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in some areas it's not even that wide. So me and Izzy walked up in there about, I don't know, few 100 yards probably. And it's kind of an uphill there, slope. And, we get up in there and I'm looking at the end area there where the old landing was, for the logging. And I'm looking at there and I'm eating a few berries and I gave her a couple. And I noticed that she's like really panting, because it's a warm day.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh man, I forgot to bring any water. So we start walking back the same exact way that we came, and here, right in the dead center of the trail that we just walked up, is that thermos setting. All of a sudden, bam, all the hair on the back of my head stood up. She didn't make any kind of a She wouldn't go near the thing, but she didn't make any kind of a growl or anything like there was anything around. My first thought was some stinking weird tweaker or some feral person is out here, messing around with us.
Yeah.
And, I had my AR in the truck and I didn't, so it's scary, when something like that happens and it wasn't there when you just walked up there.
100%.
And it just gives you a little bit of a chill and you just pick up your step back to the truck and get out of there. That's what
Now,
I did.
Did
But
you leave it sitting there?
I got a stick and I put it over and I put it on a stick because I wanted to check it, with my flashlight at home for fingerprints all over it.
Mhm.
So I put it in the back of my truck and I think I laid some sticks around it. So when I got home, I shined my flash. I have a real strong tactical flashlight, and that's how I would find a lot of hair.
Mhm.
I was shining around it. You could totally see greasy
Really?
fingerprints and stuff on that old thermos. Yeah. And, it had the patina, like all the moss growing on it.
Yeah.
Like some loggers back in the 60s were having lunch and some Bigfoot just came up and snatched their coffee.
No, that's crazy. And it's funny that you said your dog's name was Izzy.
Yeah.
And you guys here, oh man. So you and the missus come home
Yeah.
and you go into your living room.
Yeah. We got out of church and we had a door. We had it wasn't a Ring camera then. It was 2018. So that was sort of before Ring came out. It was some other name, but we had it there on the front of the house and we didn't have phone service out there. So we had to, once we got home, we could look at it on the computer because the satellite from the house would record at the
Mhm.
house, but it wasn't like nowadays. You can just, look on your phone.
Yeah.
So we come home from church, doors are totally locked. We're out in the middle of nowhere, nobody around. We had the house was super nice. It had a real big rug and a hardwood floor in the living room. We opened the door. Normally, Izzy would hear us pull up, and as soon as the door slammed, she would be right there at the front door waiting. This time, we open the door. She's nowhere in sight. I'm like, she's sick or I don't know what's going on. And then I noticed in the living room on that rug as we came in the front door, the living room was right there to the left, is this big rock sitting in the living room. It's not a big rock like that. It's flat. It's probably the size of a softball, but fairly flat. Not like a pancake flat, but, a couple inches. And then I'm like calling the dog. I'm scared to death. I thought, oh, crap, man, somebody's knocked a window out or something. I looked everywhere. There was no entry into the house. I'm looking. I go upstairs. Under our bed was Izzy, scared to death, shaking like she heard lightning going off or thunder. And so I got her out and, she calmed down after that, after we got back home. But that was another really strange thing that happened there.
You guys, think about this. You come home, everything's locked up. You walk in the door expecting to see your dog, who's always there to greet you. No dog. And in the middle of your living room floor on this rug is a rock about that big around and about that thick. Sitting. Now, you didn't find any broken windows.
Nothing.
You found
No open doors. Everything was locked tight. Nothing.
man.
Nothing on the camera.
That is crazy. You guys think about that. And again, now Daryl, when you moved out, did you move out to that property from Oklahoma?
No, I actually came from California.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I was a contractor and I retired.
that's right. And so
Yeah.
he moved up to this area, didn't know anything about the property, I assume.
No.
And you guys are like, hey, this is our forever home. This is beautiful. We got all these woods. I can do all this hunting. I can do all this hiking, peace and quiet. We're away from tons of people. And you literally now have one of the most famous properties. I mean, not anymore, but you lived on one of the most famous properties when it comes to cryptid, cryptid activity. And probably not only cryptid activity, probably paranormal.
Yeah, and UFOs.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, you speak of UFOs, you sent me this picture. You guys, Daryl hooked me up with a bunch of great pictures.
And
Okay,
I got a ton more.
I can't wait. You could blow my email up all day long. I don't care. So I don't know what to make of this picture. I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, we would see orbs, and I never knew what an orb was. I never even heard of that. I'm a construction guy.
Yeah.
I wasn't into none of this stuff. And then once I got to knowing people in the Bigfoot community, there's one side they call the woo side. They go kind of for the orbs and all that. And then the other side are just flesh and blood, where I was, once I realized there were Bigfoot, once I saw that one footprint. And I don't know, I would see orbs at night. And then, like I said, I was there for so long, stuff just got kind of common, you got used to it. But those things there across in the front of our property, there was an old logging road that we used to go out to the main road. And then there was a river. They call it a river out here. It's just basically a creek. But out there, it was a South Fork of the Willamette, South Fork of the Willamette River, which drained the watershed from the Cascade Mountains through there into Cottage Grove Reservoir. Mm-hmm. But on the other side of the river was some fertile farmland. And it was also an old Indian reservation or whatever they were back in the 1600s from the Kalapuya Indians. That's where they were all congregated right there on that river, for the salmon and all the fish that ran through there. So those lights, orbs, whatever, energy balls, I don't know what you call them.
Yeah.
They would just come up out of the ground really slow. Some of them were like ribbons. There was a lot more of them. That picture only shows about 5. There was probably, it went all the way around. It would be like a half circle. They would come out of the ground, go up maybe 100 feet, and then they would just fade out.
And how long would they normally do that?
5 minutes, maybe. Really? Yeah.
And now here's another picture that you sent. And this one doesn't look like a Sasquatch to me. It looks like something else.
Now that one there, I was up there in that area where the Sasquatch were, where I would, put the peanut butter out. And what I did is, I'm kind of like a troubleshooter guy. I fix everything. I know I pretty much, being around equipment and everything, doing repairs on houses, I pretty much do everything. Mm-hmm. And I was up there, and I'm a hunter also. So you know how we are. We notice everything. We're always looking.
Yep.
And I'm walking down into this area where I was habituating to get all this Bigfoot stuff. And off to my right, probably 1,000 yards, it's a ways away, I see something. So I just stop. And every time I would get out of my truck up there, I would get my phone out and turn my get ready for my camera, just in case, because I saw so many weird things up there. But this day, I get out, I go down in there, and I was going to get the card out of my game camera. And I see this thing in the opening, and see those 2 trees right behind it? Mm-hmm. Well, down lower in that gully, those 2 trees there is exactly where that picture of that Bigfoot's walking through.
Okay.
Can you see down below that where those 2 trees are?
Yep. And it'd be like in this area right
gully.
Here.
Yeah. Those are those 2 trees, but it's higher up. I'm at a different angle.
Right.
On the hill coming down. It's a slope coming down. So I'm standing at a different angle when I saw that thing. But it's directly behind that. Probably 500 feet behind that where that Bigfoot went through.
Okay.
But anyways, this thing, I'm watching it. I'm like, it's out of place. That shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a forest floor over there. There's nothing there. And then all of a sudden it's right. And I looked at it for a minute and it looked like in its left hand, it had a bright beam of light coming out, like it was holding its hand up and it was shining the beam of light down at an angle. And it was a bright light. And this thing was super tall and thin. I mean,
Yeah.
could have been 10 feet tall. I don't know. I was quite a ways away. And I'm like, that is the strangest thing. And it looked like it had on a triangle hat, like the Pope wears that.
Yeah.
It looked like it had that on its head. And it looked like it was in a silver suit, all silver. So I'm looking at this thing and I just can't. And I took a picture or two and I just can't figure out what the world is that. And then all of a sudden its right hand moved and it took a step. And I got the heck out of there. I got up the hill real quick to my truck and I went out the other way.
That's crazy. You guys, I'm going to see if you guys can hear this from my phone. I've tried to save this. Did you guys hear that?
I just heard a little bit of it on and off.
Yeah. Let me try something here. Let me see if I can do this. Hold on one second, you guys. I needed to. This is so freaky to me. I have no words for it. Let me do this here real quick here. Oh, that's not it. I'm gonna try to send it to myself to see if I can get it on there. Let's see here. Let's try that. It's only 10 seconds. Okay, let's see if we can go there. So what I'm going to, what is a little bit, it's you call it the preacher, and that's what I'm going to play.
I call it the midnight preacher because the thing recorded it around midnight.
Yeah, that's, oh my goodness. I'm telling you, this is crazy. Let's see if I can get this downloaded here. Okay, there's that. Go to here. Go to here. Okay, I'll do that. Do that. Take just a second to get it loaded up, guys. But yeah, this is explain this. I have no explanation for it, and it's fascinating.
I got quite a few. Now again, I was a greenie. I didn't know anything about any of this stuff, and I would put the recorder inside that new shop that we'd built, and we would get these things that they call EVPs, and electronic voice phenomena, I guess it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of them. And I recorded it on the recorder. It was about midnight when it recorded it. Of course, I was in the house asleep, but so that's what I call that one. And I got some other ones of like it sounds like old German women talking, laughing. And that certain one, Tobe had a Scott Nelson. Have you heard of him? He's Ron Moorhead's buddy.
Yeah.
Well, he's a naval linguist, and Tobe had him listen to that, and he can't figure out any word that guy's saying.
No. And
it sounds kind of like, and you can hear the echo of it in the shop. It's like, you can hear like you're in that shop, so stuff echoes kind of in there into the recorder. So it's like this guy just popped into the existence and started preaching and you kind of hear other people in the background almost.
Yep.
But it's totally strange. And anyway, Scott Nelson listened to that, and he also listened to that Bigfoot vocals that I have recorded, the Bigfoot talking.
Mm-hmm.
Tobe Johnson has it cleaned up pretty good, and it sounds like that samurai chatter that Ron Moorhead has. I have some of that too, and he couldn't figure out either one of those, or the he couldn't figure out those German women talking. That's what I call them, but it's not a. He said the best he could tell it's some kind of old German or Dutch dialect that hasn't been used for a few hundred years.
That's crazy. So I remember you talking about one of the stories. Was it you or was it Tobe said something about you needed to get a new phone?
It was Tobe. Yeah. That's when our phones got scrubbed. Remember I told you that I still have that phone in my drawer, and it's still.
Do you really?
Yeah.
The one, the phone that got scrubbed, or what?
Yeah, the phone that got scrubbed. When I got a new one from Verizon, I just took that one and put it in tossed it, and I still got it. But it doesn't have anything on it. It's so weird. It'll come on and everything. The battery won't stay charged for very long.
Yeah.
But everything, if you look in the history or whatever, the forensic part of it, the way they do it, the phone store, 0.
Yeah.
There's nothing on it. It was like brand new. It's like somebody just. And Tobe, he was truck driving at the time that he was living there at the property, and his phone, I think, just completely quit and would never turn on again.
And he had mentioned that he needs to get a new phone.
Yeah.
And I saw the video. What did he find?
Well, he had moved his travel trailer in there beside that new shop, and he had a little 12-foot aluminum boat that we would go trout fishing with in the lakes. Me and him and his son, Jude, and we were getting at the time. It was so weird. We would he would come in from truck driving, and then we would go into the shop, and we had the recorders out, and we would kind of go through Audacity and stuff, and pick out all those weird sounds, those EVPs and stuff. And anyways, he had called me the day before, and we were hearing all those weird things on our phones, like snaps and pops and different. Our phones would make mine would make like real discoloration on the screen.
Really?
Like, I can't even explain it. It would be like stuff moving on the screen of my cell phone, like weird, like rainbow colory.
Right.
But anyways, so you'd think your phone's going out. But anyways, so we're talking, and our phones were working at that time. And he goes, yeah, I'm going to have to get a new phone. My phone keeps doing all this weird stuff. And I'm like, is it doing all this? Your screen's getting distorted and all that. And we didn't drop them in the water or wet or nothing. It was just weirdness, electrical stuff that would happen around there. And he goes, yeah, mine's doing the same thing. So he's like, I'm truck driving. I got to stay in contact with the dispatcher constantly. So I need a good phone. So when I get back, I'm going to have to run up to Eugene, Oregon and get me a new phone. So what was it? 2 days later, I had to get a new phone because mine went out, and he did. And in his little boat that he had parked there, the oars were laying, kind of on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And he was looking around in there, and underneath one of the oars is a muddy old cell phone that just
like a flip phone.
Yeah, and it was like one of those that slides.
Oh yeah. Like the
yeah. I've never even seen anything like it, and it had that patina on it, that green mossy.
Yeah,
it's like these dang things have a storage unit out in the woods where they've collected stuff for years, and all of a sudden,
yeah.
And then how could they even? Yeah,
I think the phone's called like a sidekick or something. So you would it'd be like this. You just flip it up like that with your thumbs, and then a keyboard would show itself.
Exactly it.
Just use your keyboard. Yeah, you guys.
That's exactly it.
I need a new phone, and what happens? Boom! There's a new.
There
phone.
it was. And that wasn't the first thing that happened like that. Another thing was in 2018 or so, the White Sox won the World Series, I think it was. And it was the first time they won in forever. So that morning we were talking about it because we weren't really big sports fans,
Yeah.
but we were just talking about it because it was popular subject at the moment because they won the World Series. And we're like, oh, that's cool, And the next morning or the next day, Tobe was coming in from working, and he would haul cabinets at night over the hill, to Bend in a diesel from Eugene, Oregon. But he sees this little baseball in our gravel driveway, which we were out in the country and we had a few acres. So we had this big, gravel driveway up to the shop and up to the house. And he sees a baseball. So he pulls his Jeep off to the side and we go out there. And now just the day before this, we were talking about baseball out in the middle of nowhere, no kids around to hit a baseball. Anyway, this baseball was embedded in that gravel bed down to about half the ball. Yeah.
That is.
It was like,
Man,
how could that ever even happen? It was just like it appeared there in that gravel. And we took a screwdriver and had to dig it out. And the impression was there into this hard pan, solid as concrete clay with gravel on it. Can't explain it. That's the stuff it messes with your head and you just gotta,
what do you do?
What do you do about it?
Oh my God. Well,
there was so many things like that around there that's why, you can drive yourself crazy with it. I think some people, they get to the point to where they're, hey, I want out of this. I don't want anything to do with it. It'll just mess with your brain. My wife, she's really religious, so she thinks you call on demons, they'll appear.
Oh yeah.
I think it says that in the Bible. She can quote all that.
Oh, Josh is the same way, and me when it comes to, I don't have a problem talking about my paranormal experiences on here. I know some people like to hear that type of stuff. But I don't want to hear any new ones coming on because now I think that if you're opening up yourself to allow new things come in,
that's what she thinks.
Yeah, that's no good. That's no bueno,
Yeah.
I've had some amazing paranormal encounters in my life. Some are very innocent and very nice. Some are very terrifying. Some of them make, leave your, scratching your head.
I had some there that were head scratchers and some other ones just like feathers inside my lock pickup.
Yeah.
I got that a few times there.
Yeah. What does that signify though? You think about that.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Rocks, a lot of pieces of quartz.
Yeah.
In the back of my pickup, on the hood of my pickup, on the top of I had two trucks. I had one that I used for my old beat around truck, and then I had a real nice truck.
Yeah.
So my old beat around truck, one day we had to drive down. We were up in there a ways, so we had to drive about a quarter of a mile out to the main road to get our mail every day. So I take my little truck down to get the mail. One day I took it down to get the mail. I come back, I park it beside my other truck there in front of the shop. I go in, have lunch, and then I was going to run into town and get a haircut. And when I come out, the house had a deck like this and the trucks were parked down lower. I'm standing on the deck and I look at the little truck and I could see something up on the roof, of the truck. I'm like, that's weird. I always try to debunk everything to the 10th power, I'm like,
right.
Did some crow drop a rock up there or something, which could happen, So I go over there and I look on the hood, on the roof of the truck, and there's 4 rocks, 4 little stones, and they're not from the gravel. All the rocks that they brought there were like agates or jasper or something.
Yeah.
Or quartz. And there was these 4 rocks. And I had just driven back from getting the mail. you know.
I
And-
very seriously doubt you're driving back to get the mail and rocks are going to kick up on the roof.
But even at that, how would those rocks have gotten on there out in the middle of nowhere like that? And it's another thing where you're just like creeped out because you think, is there some weirdo standing out here in the woods that is messing with me? You know?
Yeah. Oh, for
Cameras
sure.
don't pick them up. Also, when we were talking about that thing beside the house
Mm-hmm.
earlier, if you go on Tobe Johnson's thing, it's either the Owl Moon Lab or he's got that new thing, what is it? Some Olympic stuff.
The Olympic project or something like that.
Yeah, something. But he has impressions on that glass window where that thing had his face against the window. Remember the bottom bedroom window?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's up about 7 feet. We had to actually get a stool or a little step ladder that he had to stand on. And he's about 6'2"
Yeah.
to get those. And it looks like it had its face against there.
Yeah.
And you know, when kids put their face against a school bus window or whatever, and
Yep.
they're breathing, and it had that. You could totally see where the big fat nostrils were and the greasy forehead.
Yeah.
And it had we called it snot rockets, but it was kind of like a heavy breathing
Yeah.
gunk.
Like the condensation coming off
Yeah.
the nose or something like that.
Yeah, where that thing was against the window that night, but we measured up with a tape and it's like 7'6".
Yeah.
And he did the thing again. He got the latex gloves on or whatever, and got some Q-tips and an envelope, and
Yep.
did everything, good.
Yeah,
and he has that. I mean, if that's eDNA or whatever they call that stuff.
Yeah.
But then in the end, we had so much stuff. What do you do with it all?
Well,
Yeah.
as much traction and action and things that you had going around there, I mean, I love your outlook on it. It's so nonchalant to you now, so nonchalant. I mean, I can just imagine, being there with you and sitting out on your deck or whatever and having a beer, and all of a sudden you hearing something up behind your house or up on the hillside. And, I imagine anybody else would be like, oh, did you just hear that? And you're just like, "Oh, yeah, I heard that yesterday."
I was like that at first. Like you said, when we first moved in there, it had raised beds, garden beds in the back, redwood around them.
Yeah.
So I kind of fixed them all up for my wife because she likes to grow tomatoes and stuff. And so I had fixed them all up for my wife, and she got home from work, and she was out there working in those raised beds one afternoon about 4:30. This thing in the woods lets out this roar. I mean, I can't even explain it. It was so loud that it just kind of rattled your clothes or rattled your body. You could feel the compression in the air. And she looks at me and she goes, "Go call Tobe." It was right after I met him, and he didn't live at the property yet.
Yeah.
She's like, "Call somebody. I don't know what's going on." She was all freaked out.
Yeah.
That was the first time she really heard it. I had heard it before, but this time it was really close. And it's like if you walk into a zoo and you hear the lions,
Yeah.
and the zoo's kind of a compacted area there, and whoa, it's kind of like that magnified by 1,000. I mean, it's just,
and it gets your attention real quick.
And it just kind of goes through the air, kind of rumbles you.
Yeah.
And it sounds, I just said it sounded like a T-Rex and an African lion had a baby, and it's mad. That's kind of the two things that came to my mind when I heard it, but then I would hear it a lot, and I'd hear them up there a lot. And I always knew when they were around up there because you would start hearing them. Sometimes you would hear one do that roar, or the tree knocks. It sound like they got two Louisville sluggers hitting them together. That was another thing I couldn't figure out because Oregon rains a lot. You go up in the woods, you grab a limb and you try to hit on the log, and the limb will just crush or break, or you can't get a distinct solid wood clack hit like that.
Yeah.
That they do. So
I've heard one theory that they use their hands.
Their hands or pop with their mouth, like people do, and they're
That's
so
crazy.
enormous that it's just crazy. But
yeah,
I would hear that a lot. And then I knew once I heard those knocks, and I would hear like 3 a lot of times, like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
They would do it in a succession of 3.
Yeah.
And then I would start listening. Then I would hear you know, all the different little groans and moans they do, and the little bit of a. They don't always just do whoop like you
No.
know, like you hear. They do other different crazy sounds. It
Yeah.
sounds like a pack of monkeys up there or something. It's weird. And
They make these sounds, you guys, and I got these from Mr. Ron Moorhead himself. Check this out.
wow, that kind of gives me chills because I've heard that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's freaky, man.
Oh my gosh.
I
You're right. You're exactly right. That is a conversation, Joanne. That is a conversation. And this is what's really cool, you guys, is that Ron Moorhead's audio that he's caught, I believe, is the only scientifically proven vocalizations. Like, it's been analyzed by so many people, and it's all come back as it's not human. There's no way that this is a human being of any kind making this noise. So, I mean, it is just I love it.
I'll have to send you the one that I got. It's
Oh,
not
please do.
that intense. They're talking out in the woods, and I would hear them talking from my backyard up there in the woods. And it was real similar to Ron Moorhead stuff. It sounds like a cross between Native American and Asian,
Yeah.
and
So, like this
thing-
one.
Yeah.
Like this one right here.
Right there, just seen movement right through there.
I think it's hilarious, Ron. he gives it back to him. I think that is so great.
Yeah. Ron's awesome though.
I just
Yeah.
had Ron on, and
Yeah.
I have the utmost respect for him and you. And you guys realize something. I'm just gonna let you guys in on something. The two pieces of audio I just played for you guys are coming directly from Ron Moorhead. I didn't have to go someplace to pull the audio, and it's a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. This is from Ron Moorhead's own personal, audio library. These are the actual audios that he took in 1972, 1971, and then I think the second one I played was like in 2014 or 2018. So I mean, if you guys think about it, I'm honored. I'm honored the stuff that Daryl sent me, the pictures, the audio, you know. Oh, if I could slow it down, Renee, I would definitely slow it down. But was it Scott Nelson that he listened to these at one time, and he was like, yeah, there this is a language. They have a language. And I can't wait to hear your audio. That I'm so geeked about it. I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Like that first one you played, I had never even heard that one before.
I never heard that one either.
My brother had a long time ago played that the Sierra sounds
Mhm.
in his pickup once. So I'd never really listened to him that well, and I'd never heard that first one he played, and that gave me chills because that sounded exactly like what we'd hear up in there. And I called the guy Randy Sylvie. He's the main guy at the Bend, Oregon Bigfoot Research.
Mhm.
And I go, man, check this out, because I had recorded it, and it sounds like a bunch of monkeys fighting up in the woods. And he's like, oh my God, man, that sounds just like that Ron Moorhead stuff.
Mm.
I'm like, yeah, it's wild. And then we lived in that valley between the Cascades and the Coast Range there.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes at night you would hear them going off up behind our place. And way over there, you would hear another one answer. You know, they'd be doing,
That
and you
is
hear some way off in the Cascades up there, about 4 miles away.
that is
It's like they're communicating from a 5 mile distance.
yeah,
But since the valley is there, it echoes.
right.
You know, you can, and it was wild. But I heard so much stuff that I didn't record.
Oh, I mean,
And my wife heard, and a lot of people heard. Ron Moorhead and his wife Carrie came and stayed with us for a few days,
really.
and they had a little travel trailer, and something was pushing on their travel trailer, and there was a few other people there at the time, and a few other people got gifts on the hoods of their vehicles, and there is just always something going on around there.
Oh my gosh.
And Ron's wife Carrie is kind of a she senses stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Like that. And she's like, man, there was definitely a Sasquatch walking around outside our trailer last night, because I could sense it, and we could hear it breathing and kind of shaking the trailer a little bit, and different things. I mean, you know, like if you don't wash your clothes with a bounce sheet,
Right.
and you sit on the couch or in your car, and then you'll touch something, you'll get shocked.
Yep.
Well, that place, you could wash your clothes, you could dry your clothes with 10 of those fabric softener sheets and touch a doorknob, and you could see the little spark come off an inch.
Oh,
Like, God.
I'm gonna tell you, you know, it's that the first piece of audio from Ron that I played.
That's amazing.
What really kind of gives me the willies is when it goes, oh,
Yeah.
is that
That's what got me, because I would hear that, and it would be more of a longer, like
yeah, that's crazy.
just wild. I mean,
Oh,
and we would hear, and I think, now I'm not sure about this, but I think around September, early September, up to the middle of October could possibly be their mating season, breeding season, or whatever. Because we would hear, and I have some of it recorded, like this high pitched, I would call it a siren song, you know, like a mermaid, you know, song. You would hear this high pitched tone of a voice, and it sounded like a female.
oh, you want to hear one of those?
It was just, I have one recorded. And
I have one right now.
And what it would do is it would go on for 3 to 5 minutes. I'm like, what on earth has a lung capacity to put that high pitched whine out for 3 minutes or 5 minutes? I mean, it was crazy. And I have one recorded.
I definitely want to hear that. So send it to me when you can send me anything and everything you want. I can't wait. But this was sent to me from Sabrina, who is one of my co-hosts. Check this out. I think this is the one. She sent me two. I hope this is the one. Nope, that's not the one. This is the one, but I'll play that second one. She had
Oh my God, yeah.
Was that what you heard?
Yeah, but it was more of a little bit of the same tone. And then maybe that was like 3 different tones. It was more of like a real high pitched tone, and then it would go low at the end for the last couple minutes.
Oh,
so you had Jimmy Williams on there, right?
I did.
Now I listened to some of his stuff. Now he's got something that sounds like that.
Well, he has this one here. I love this one. He has this one here.
I heard. Ooh, that's a different sound.
he was in the chat our last live, and I played that. And I asked him, I go, what's that thing? Was the last swoop like 50 feet? He was like, no, it was like inside 20 feet from us. And I'm like, that's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, we would hear that siren sound, and then at that time of year out there, late July into middle October, early November, the Bigfoot were very active. You know, there was their most pretty much active time, and they would do that sounds back and forth and that high. So it was kind of like, you know, like how elks bugle to each other or whatever. And it was sort of like that up in there.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff going on.
You know, Sabrina also sent me another one. This is really fascinating because I asked her about it, and I go, exactly what was going on when you captured this audio? And she goes, well, it was completely black. They were on this old road, and she believes it's coming. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, Sabrina, but it was like running away, like it had snuck up to the front of one of their vehicles, and then it like ran away down this road. Now, the road they were on, a regular person in pitch black should not be able to run away like this. And this is, you guys want to listen carefully. How awesome was that?
Yeah, that's definitely something running up there and stopping. Have I sent you the video in the back of my property where I would put the recorder at night with the parabolic pointing into the hills? That the chain link fence that I talked about that was around the property, I would put peanut butter sandwiches on the chain link fence between the T-post and the wire. And every morning they'd be gone. And I'd put my game cam there, and it would take 5 pictures with nothing on it. You'd see, bam, one picture with the peanut butter sandwich. Bam, the next one, the peanut butter sandwich is gone. Nothing. It snapped 5 pictures, nothing on it. But
really,
one night I had the peanut butter sandwich there, and I had the recorder on the parabolic setting back about, I don't know, 40, 50 feet. And this thing, you can totally hear it. Big footfall, walk up, clunk, 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 like your foot stuff there. But this is real heavy in the brush behind the fence. And it sees the parabolic there. So it grabs a sandwich and it goes, huh. And you can hear it breathing. It goes, he go, hey. And then,
oh, I can't. I'd love to hear that.
I'll send you that. It's awesome.
That is.
It recorded it all, and it's a really good one.
Let me do some real quick housekeeping here, real quick. So, you guys, Daryl, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show.
Hey, man.
Everybody in there in the chat right now, if you're a member, you're already entered into my very first drawing. If you would like to be entered in the drawing, all you have to do is join the Cryptid Crew. It's the membership that I have for the channel. It is $2.99. And this giveaway is going to be running from May 10th to June 10th, and the winner will receive this hat. And I have one. Josh has one. Josh gave away one on his. I'm definitely going to give away. I've got a few of these, so I'm going to do a couple of more. Again, for $2.99. Again, it's going to be a month long, so May 10th to June 10th, and then on June 11th, I'll try to get it to where we can do maybe a live to see who the winner is, and I'll post that as well. And then another thing is, I have a question for everybody in the chat, anybody who watches this after this is over. Josh and I are thinking about doing a meet and greet. We'll be holding, if we decide to have one, we just want to kind of get the feelers out there to see how many people would definitely be interested in attending a meet and greet up in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Yep, Renee, that's where I got them. They sell the hats. So instead of paying $10 for the hat, You just pay $2.99, and you get a free hat. I cover the shipping, all that type of stuff. But yeah, so if anybody would be interested in attending a meet and greet with me and Josh, in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, what we'll do is I kind of know somebody who said they would be willing and probably more than happy to speak at it. I'm looking at him right now. He said he talked to you today. So that made me really super happy. And you guys will just, it's going to be a super chill thing. We're not going to try to sell you anything. We just want to meet our listeners, our followers, our fans, whatever you guys want to call yourself, our family, our tribe. We just want to meet you and let you guys know, we are as we appear. This is what you see here is when I'm not behind the mic. This is the way I am every single day of my life. Except for when I was younger, I was more of a jerk, but now I'm older and wiser. But so yeah, definitely. So if you guys are interested in doing a meet and greet, would like to meet us, then by all means, hey Jake, okay, I got you on there. Just send me an email, okay? The Cryptid Podcast 72 at gmail.com. Send me an email so I know that you guys would be interested, because we really don't know how many people will show up to these things. Yeah, I know. Well, I'm in Minnesota, Renee. I'm up in White Bear Lake, Minnesota, and it's about a 10-hour drive for me. But I would drive 10 hours to meet anybody here, if you'd like to come and hang out. So we'll definitely try to make that happen. Just let me know. Let me know what you guys think. If you're interested, I don't know if we're going to do a 1 night or 2 night thing, but we'll definitely do maybe like a live, we'll do like a live podcast. We'll have like a little fireside chat where people can come up and tell their encounters. And the area or the place that we're talking about going to, I believe, is the Crescent Motel. And they said they will provide seating and drinks. And I'm not sure about the food yet, but yeah, if you guys are interested, let us know and shoot me an email, and I'll keep a tally, and then we'll kind of go from there. All right, guys. So let's get back to the show, unless Mr. Daryl needs to get out of here. Are you good for a little bit more?
I'm okay.
Okay, awesome.
It's Saturday night.
There you go. Everybody, how's everybody doing out there? You guys doing okay? Yeah, Ashes, it is. It's considered one of the most haunted, hotels, if not the most haunted hotel or motel in the United States. And
Wow.
Sherry, thanks for what? You're welcome. I don't know for what, but you're welcome. So let me ask you this. So how long did you own that property?
We actually owned that property for about 2.5 years, I think, because my wife's a therapist and there's really no good phone service out there. And when COVID hit, she has clients that she has to do one-on-ones with on the phone, Skype or whatever.
Yeah.
So everybody had to work from home.
Right.
So she had to go basically stay with her daughter in Albany, Oregon, while I was out there. And we put the place up for sale and sold it pretty quick.
Yeah.
And so right at about probably from late in 2017 to 21, somewhere 18, 19, 20, whenever COVID hit.
Yeah.
Not right at first, but, into about 6 months of 2000 probably.
And then, do you know who bought the property? Well, of course you sold it, but
I do. I know them very well. I keep in touch with them. They've told me they had a 900-pound dog walking across the front deck there, that wood deck I was talking about. I go, yeah, it's not a dog, and they just laugh. But they don't really play into anything. They're an older couple from Palm Springs, California, and they're not into that. They're just an old retired couple that work for the post office. Really nice, kind people. I could go there and stay a few days if I wanted, but I know them really well.
how do they not buy into it?
They're just not people that care, I guess. I mean, they know about it. They know it's all there, but they don't really like me and Tobe. We were actively researching, wanting more out of it, and they just leave it alone. You know, when something slaps on their back door at 2 a.m. like it does a couple times, and then it's kind of like if you don't interact with them or interact with it, it just kind of
Yeah.
doesn't
Like I don't have time for it.
mess with you anymore or whatever.
Hey, Sabrina, if you're jumping out, hey, thank you so much for jumping into the chat. Thank you for the gifted subs. I truly appreciate it. And again, you're a great co-host. And you guys, she couldn't be tonight. She's got family things going tonight, and she won't be with us next Saturday. She also has family things going that day as well. So, yeah. So good night, Sabrina. Tell your husband no more Affleck in the background. And if you guys were on the last live, you know what that means. So. But hey, Nicole and Jake, yeah, you guys have my email address. It's scrolling across the bottom of the screen right now. Send me an email, and we'll definitely try to see what we can get going on. But again, so after you left,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, you went. Did you go straight back to Oklahoma?
No, we lived in Cottage Grove there for another 4 to 5 years.
Okay.
So after I left that area, I still went right above it where all the stuff was going on, and I habituated the area, which we call the Owl Moon Wilderness now.
Okay.
It's just the property right above it where we were hearing all the Bigfoot sounds and all that.
And is that all public land?
It is.
So
yeah.
You guys can go up there anytime you want.
Yeah, but it's not easy to get to.
Oh,
you kind of got to know where it's at.
Yeah. And do you camp up there?
Nobody will camp up there.
Would you camp up there if you had someone that would camp up there with you?
You know, I've camped near that spot up the road a ways.
Yeah.
If I had some people with me to camp right there, I probably would. Yeah.
Yeah.
That place is scary, man. And I'm not a scare easy.
Yeah.
You
know what? I think
construction worker, man. I've seen some bad things happen. So,
man, I think what I need to do is I need to. Hey, Chavez, good night, buddy. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you. I think I might have to take a trip down to Oklahoma and then pick up somebody and then drive out to Oregon to check that area out. I would love to go up there and just have my camera out and take pictures and.
Yeah, you need to spend a few days there, and I know the whole area like the back of my hand because I lived there and I was up in the woods every day, traveling all those roads, everywhere up in there hunting. I know that area better than anybody.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to go. And if Tobe is still in the area, I'd like to meet him.
Yeah, he's actually in Washington, but he comes down there a lot because his mom and son live in Eugene, Oregon, which is right there.
Yeah, I think when you and I were on last time, I talked, I've got family all over there, man. Eugene, Dallas, Salem, Portland, Lincoln City. Yeah, I've got family all over there.
Yeah, I have some down lower, like Roseburg area down in there.
Yeah, my dad was born in Coos Bay.
Yeah, Coos Bay.
Yeah, that's where my dad was born. I rode my 10-speed bike from Tacoma, Washington, down to Coos Bay, Oregon.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I was 16 years old. My dad was like my chase vehicle. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Did you go down the coast route, 101 or whatever it is?
Yep. And then we drove back up I-5. So.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
That's a beautiful trip, though, man.
Well, I was doing it for the American Diabetes Association. So.
Oh, cool.
So this is to everyone there as well as Daniel. If asked to appear on a TV show about your experience, would you do it? Robbie, I've always been in contact with Hannah. I've talked with Tara, and I've asked a few people in here. But thanks. A lot of people know about that already. So, but Robbie, thanks for coming in. And yeah, if I get asked to join, I've already been interviewed. I would love to do it, but I don't know if you've been involved with it or not.
Yeah, we were going to do a TV show with Doug Hychek, the Monster Quest guy. Mm-hmm. Monsters in my neighborhood when we lived there, and it just didn't it didn't go, but it should have. I mean, we had this stuff going on, and it's still going on there. You just gotta be there.
Yeah, I'll talk to you all. I'll talk
Yeah.
once we end this, because I think we're going to end it in a few minutes. But stay in the lobby, and I'll talk to you about something about that. So,
Okay.
but hey, you guys, I just wanted to say, thank you so much for coming in. Jeff just jumped in. He must have got off. I think his crew might have been on a live. But yeah, you guys, thank you so much for joining the live tonight. I mean, great show. I think I had a lot of fun reading these stories to you. I can't thank Daryl enough for jumping on and just sharing your experiences in Owl Moon Lab and explaining what we were exactly looking at the pictures and what we were hearing through the audios. And honestly, you are more than welcome on my regular podcast as a guest, and you're more than welcome to come on any live that I have going on. So,
Thanks, man.
if you want to just come on, and I mean, you've got endless stories, pictures, audio, encounters, and there's no doubt in my mind that everybody in the chat or watching after this posts, they would love to hear them. So again, sir, you have a 100% open door policy. You want to come on, say, hey, Dan, you can do live Saturday. Absolutely. You want to come on? Sure do. I'll send you the link, because I could spend hours talking with you.
Yeah, I got so much stuff that I collected over those years, and I like to answer questions and to help people that are just getting into it. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about a lot of different things: how to cast prints, how to find hair. The old go in and out with your trash bag and wrap that around a tree or in a footprint or something, and it'll just static electricity. It'll just suck the hair up.
Yeah.
The birds this time of year kick their nest out, and the birds in the area where you see Bigfoot, they find the hairs. Bigfoot's loose in the forest, and they put them in their nests, and you just put that nest in that trash bag and get a real strong flashlight, and you'll find Bigfoot hair.
See, that's the one thing I definitely want to do is I want to cast a print so bad,
Yeah.
But you guys, he may not agree with it, but I'm gonna keep saying it. You guys, we have a living legend with us in this community right now, Daryl Adams. Oh, just so much knowledge and experience, amazing stories, audio, video, photos. Again, I can't thank you so much enough. I can't. I don't have words. But thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. Appreciate you.
And again,
it's nice to get this out. There's so many people that have these experiences and don't know what to think about it. And I talked to so many people out there that didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And then, you kind of, once you start talking to them and they open up to you, and it kind of comes off their chest, it's like, man, I'm so glad. Yeah. I mean, that's the same thing that happened to me. I hear that all the time. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm just a normal person. I'm not crazy or anything, because people will think, everyone looks at them differently after they tell their stories. And
well, I had somebody reach out to me and sent me an email, or I'm talking with them on Messenger, I should say, and they had a sighting, the same area that I had my sighting when I was 12.
Wow.
And I told her, she goes, I'm just kind of leery about it. I said, I totally get it. It took me 30 years to come out and say what I needed to say. And I said, I'm very intrigued with your sighting, because it's in the same area that I had mine back in 84. And I'm just wondering, could it be the female that I saw, or could it be one of the other ones?
Like the same group. Yeah.
Yeah. And it kind of made me a little emotional in a way, because again, I felt no negativity. I felt no danger or fear from the ones that were around the area that I lived, that we encountered on multiple occasions.
Yeah, I didn't either. I didn't feel that alien thing's the only thing that kind of really got me. Because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I still don't know what it was.
Absolutely. So, well, you guys, we are going to close out the live. Again, thank you so much. 2 hours and 39 minutes. You guys spent all this time with me. I got people that had come in and out. everybody that's joined the live, stayed in the live, thank you so much. Thank you for all the gifted subs. Thank you for just everything in the support. Remember, you guys, May 10th to June 10th, if you become a member of the Cryptid Podcast for $2.99 a month, on June 11th, I will do a drawing. I'll pull out someone's name that is a member, and you can win this hat. And again, yeah, you guys can get this hat at Walmart if they have them, but this is coming from me. I'm touching it. It's got my my touches on it. And
got the mojo on it, man.
It's got my mojo. It's got my mojo. And so again, my juju. It's got my juju on it, you guys. So I'll go ahead and I'll send that out to the winner. Again, thank you so much. Don't forget, if you'd like to get into the drawing for that hat, $2.99. Become a member, become part of the Cryptid crew. You guys, I can't thank you enough. As my buddy Josh always says, remember, you guys, please stay prayed up. As I always like to say, remember, everybody, a legend begins with a sighting. You guys have a wonderful night, and I'll see you next week. Don't forget, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, another Saturday night live stream. Good night, everybody.
I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?